So guys, it's official. Over the last 24 hours or so, we found out that Joe Flacco will be the starter to open up the 2025 season. The Flacco Fever is back, but things definitely are a lot different this time around. The opening first 5 to 6 games on the schedule is absolutely brutal. And obviously the Browns are in an unprecedented time with 4 QBs on the depth chart, still battling things out. And even though we all knew Flacco would start out the season, I think it's the right move, especially right away in week 1. To me, Shedeur still being 4th on the depth chart is a real head scratcher. Kenny Pickett still being on the roster is a head scratcher. There's just so much to unpack. Watson still being on the roster is something that really just confuses you and makes you think what's going on behind the scenes. We of course had the controversy with what Gabriel said to one of the reporters about being a competitor instead of an entertainer. We have all the Judkins legal stuff. There literally is like an hour worth of content to talk about right now. Just so much going on in pretty much every aspect of the team. Some bad news, but a lot of good news, and I really want to talk about as much of it as I can. But first up, before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 60,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so the big breaking news, as I mentioned, is that Joe Flacco will be the Browns starting quarterback, and this announcement was met with a lot of backlash. But if you've been a Browns fan before the draft, you knew Flacco was going to be the starter week 1. I don't care if it was prime Brady being drafted. This whole time, Flacco was going to be under center, so really this is not even news. It's just confirmation of what we knew would happen, and honestly, as I said, I think this is a good thing. With what the Browns schedule is out of the gate, there is no way I want Shedeur Sanders or Gabriel out there. That would be the ultimate sabotage. I mean, it's the Bengals, then the Ravens, Packers, and Lions, and it doesn't even end there. There's more, so I don't think any rookie right out of college with no experience can handle that, especially on a team like the Browns that is just not functional to begin with. So I would much rather see Flacco out there, a guy that is just going to wing it, and if it fails, it fails. Who cares? At least none of the rookies will lose their confidence, because we know that is more than crucial for young players. It's hard to recover. We saw what happened to guys like Manziel and just so many other young players when they're thrown out there in the wild with no support. And then the Browns obviously will get to the easier part of their schedule eventually, and I think it's safe to say the Browns will have a pretty awful record by week 8 or so, and that's when I think the rookies should be put in. It's a lot different to open up your season against the Titans than it is against one of those juggernaut teams. And again, in a normal situation, I would not have this mindset, but for a rookie, confidence is everything, and when rookies start off on a bad track, it's really hard for them to recover. Alright, now for more good news. It's kind of hard to go at this from the correct angle while being unbiased, but pretty much all eyes are on this team because of Shedeur. Everyone knows, besides the organization itself, that he is the quarterback with the most upside on this depth chart, and I think that Eagles game was a massive W for him and the fan base. Gabriel early on actually looked pretty solid and poised, but man, did he just look small out there. I thought once he actually got on the field in a real game situation that he would blend in more, but he just looked so much shorter than everyone, and all he was asked to do was throw short check down routes, and even on those like short 10-yard passes, it looked like it required all his effort to get the ball where it needed to go. And while yes, it is good football to take what's given, and that's the type of football that Brady became the GOAT with, the Browns are going to be trailing a lot this season, at least you would think, so playing that kind of style just won't work. And even while throwing short, safe passes, he still threw a pick 6. Obviously, it wasn't completely his fault, but he still threw the ball into traffic. He put that throw in a position where anything could happen, and obviously the worst did. And on the same exact scenario and play design in Carolina, Shedeur threw a touchdown with the 2nd and 3rd team. So overall, even though Gabriel did show some flashes of potential, he really did nothing that wowed me. He was responsible for 2 turnovers. Shedeur just looked way better. And then you add on the mid-game interview, whether it was intentional or not, Prime Nation definitely has something to be excited about now, and I don't care that Shedeur was listed as the 4th string quarterback. We all know he is above that. Anyways, moving on, I don't want to focus too much on Shedeur because I've been talking about him way too much, as has everyone else over the last few months. And CBS analyst Danny Cannell predicted that the Browns could win 9 to 10 games with Flacco under center. And while that may be one of the boldest takes I've heard in years, I actually see where he is coming from. Do I personally think the Browns could win 10 games this year? Heck no, I don't even think they'll be close to that. I think the ceiling is like 7. But Flacco played some of the best football in Browns history over that 5-game span just 2 2 years ago, and he is coming right back into that same exact Kevin Stefanski system he played great in. The pressure is off. He is not expected to do anything. The Browns have young running backs around him. The offensive line is ultra experienced, and if healthy, which is rare nowadays, they can be a top 5 to top 3 unit in the league. There is a plethora of receivers when you add in the fact that at tight end there is David Njoku, who I actually just saw the other day at a red light in Strongsville in his ridiculous green monster truck. I just saw his head sticking out through the sunroof, and he had his bucket hat on. He was probably driving like 80 miles per hour, because that's what all Browns players do. They just get pulled over by the cops every single week, and it makes headlines. But I recognized the dreads, and then I looked up his car on Google, and it matched, so I thought that was just funny. I wanted to tell that story. But with him and Harold Fannin Jr., the tight end room makes up for what the Browns lack in terms of actual receiver depth and experience. The Browns also made another pickup over the last week, and it definitely was a move that instantly became a meme, because we picked up another guy that has had some legal trouble. But hey, at the end of the day, this is a messed up league anyways. I am more of a fan of the team rather than caring about specific guys and what mistakes they have made in the past. I'm not really a judgmental person. I think in most of professional sports, the players kind of have the same mindset and they do the same types of things. Some mistakes just come to light and some of them stay hidden. Obviously, there are good people in the league as well. I'm not saying there aren't, but for the most part, everyone has made a bad mistake at some point. So this was a why not signing, and that signing I'm talking about is Isaiah Bond. The Browns signed the undrafted rookie to a fully guaranteed 3-year, $3 million contract. It's just over $3 million on August 18th. And Bond was expected to be drafted in the mid-round, but he ended up going undrafted following an assault charge that was later dropped by a grand jury. But this is a guy that kind of made a name for himself at Texas. He has got a lot of good attributes that give him high upside. I think he should get a lot of snaps above Deontay Johnson just for the Browns to see if they really have anything in him or not. It was a cheap, no-risk type of deal. Also, another positive going back to last week's scrimmage against Philly is that Jamari Thrash looks like he has taken a big step forward and could be a reliable target. He had 4 receptions for 44 yards, and he had a stretch where he took over a drive, and then in the running game, Pierre Strong rushed for 89 yards on 13 carries. Also defensively in that Eagles game, when the first unit was out there, they looked pretty dominant, and even though again it's just camp, and as Browns fans we especially know not to overreact to any hype at this point, apparently the team competed and looked really good to a point where even the Eagles and their coaching staff were impressed. And there was of course that one clip where Shedeur went on a golf cart ride with Jalen Hurts. I'm sure he was spitting advice during that, and I'm just glad to see a new energy around this team, no matter if it's real or fake. We will see if this defense finally has some real dogs again or not, because last year was just brutal from the jump, and it all stemmed from the tension of the Deshaun Watson situation and just how awful he truly was. One problem though that I kind of do see with this current team right now is that there's going to be a 40-year-old under center week 1 against Cincy, and he has not even played a snap yet in the preseason, and I'm not sure how much you're going to want to play him if you're the Browns in game 3 of the preseason. Again, he is 40, so it's kind of a weird situation. Anytime you can have him off the field in a meaningless situation, you're going to take him off and have him sit on the sideline. But right now there is no rhythm with anyone. There's no chemistry with the receivers because he has just not been out there, and opening week is probably going to feel like one of those let's just wing it type of games, which is kind of scary to think about. But at the same time, I've been saying this, there's really no pressure, because if the Browns absolutely suck and go 2-15, that's a win, because they might have 2 top 10 picks in next year's draft thanks to the big massive Travis Hunter trade. And next year's draft is going to have Arch Manning and Drew Aller in it, so that's a great spot to have those top picks because they will have value, and the Browns could end up in a spot where they get to take one quarterback and then trade the other pick for a major asset to help with another need on the team. Again, I hope that they don't even have to do that. I hope Shedeur Sanders proves everyone wrong this year and becomes the guy for the future and the guy that everyone believes in. But the point I'm making is that if you're a Browns fan, you should just try your best to enjoy this transition year while the team recovers from all the damage the Watson trade did. They're not going to win a Super Bowl, and it's time to accept that. So again, I think you should just enjoy this team, and hopefully they can play some fun football, because it's been a brutal stretch. And if they lose, again, you got to know in the back of your head that next year's draft is going to be the biggest moment in franchise history, and if they win, then they win, and all is well. Hopefully they can make the playoffs. I think they have on paper the potential, but we know on paper means nothing in Cleveland. That's really all I got for this video. I know I've just kind of been rambling, so I hope you enjoyed and you got some valuable insight. Let me know in the comments below how you're feeling about this team, if you're confident in them winning some games or if you think they're going to absolutely suck. Also, let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.